Hello, everyone. I'm David, and I'm here with Laura and Bob, and they have come to tell their story. And the first question I'm going to ask you is, what was your life like before you were targeted, and what is it like now? Like, were you outgoing? Was your life good? Stuff like that.
Yes, yes. I had many friends. I worked for our school system. I worked with special needs kids. Um, a lot of what my targeting was, what I believe was to be sex trafficked. A lot of it started when I turned 21. Um, but for the most part, I played games. I had a normal life. I went to Catholic school, first through 11th grade. The first eight all at one called Guardian Angels until they did a land grab in my neighborhood for the Louisville International Airport. So, and then they got so many families that they ended up having to close the school because we didn't have, the residents to fill the school. So I was the last graduating class of Guardian Angels, and they merged with a couple other churches. I think being Catholic has definitely been part of why I was targeted, and my ex seemed to admit that.
Yeah, and I think Christopher Wray, the FBI director, got in trouble for targeting Catholics, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm not. Don't quote me on that. There was something I read where the FBI was targeting Catholics.
Well, Biden got on the news and said that, he was going to be in our churches and that our kids were his kids. And I can say since Biden's been in office, my kids have been taken and I don't go to church anymore because it happened through a church.
Right. So when this started for you, can you tell me like kind of like what was going on? Like when your targeting started, was your life good? And then somebody, the smear campaigns. Could you kind of explain?
My life was good. I had a boyfriend and I ended up going over to a friend's house. And this person told me that the person that brought me was going to roofie me. Well, then I was stuck there. I didn't go with my own car and I didn't leave with the person I thought was going to roofie. Come to find out, the other guy roofied me. He abducted me, held me hostage, and raped me, and I was pregnant. I met him in September of 2002. By October of 2002, I was pregnant. I lost that child in December. God only knows what, they did with the DNC because I don't believe they just throw these parts away. I believe they use stem cells and whatever else when you have a miscarriage. I didn't know
Right.
that then. I mean, a lot of stuff it's like hindsight's 2020. A lot of things didn't make sense. See, for me, I had a break. I had a break from 2014 until 2022, or what seemed like a break. I wasn't targeted as hard. I got a new husband. You know, um, we moved out to Vine Grove in the country, um, and had a nice life. And my ex, I left him in '09. I found the poison. He said he was poisoning me and he was going to kill me, that he was a serial killer for the government and that the government had a population control agenda. I've since found the population control agenda on a website called stopthecrime.net. There's a 2001 NASA document that goes in through all the direct energy weapons and how they're doing it. And
Yeah.
basically they play you on a medical stock market. My doctors have all lied to me, just different things.
Yeah, I got a video where Deborah Tavares is explaining that whole NASA document. If you scroll down to my videos, yeah, I'm familiar with that. So did you experience smear campaigns, heavy smear campaigns that like, n- like you notice people just acting weird towards you, or you might have caught wind of somebody saying something about you and like they smeared your name around the community?
Yes, yes. Um, well, this last time when they took my kids, the cops told my kids and everybody in my family that I was on meth. And I went the next day and there was no meth. And meth is one of those things that nobody wants anything to do with. And, my family is all Catholic. So
So they
I
knew if they
did.
put that target on your back right there, that smear campaign, it would pretty much end your friendships with everybody, huh?
The only one they pretty much didn't turn against me is my mother in the beginning. She died in 2019. And it was a horrible death. They opened her up on Valentine's Day because she had had open heart surgery, and I seen her lungs breathing and her heart beating.
Mm.
And in my personal opinion, um, I've listened to a lot of Sabrina Wallace on Rumble,
Yeah.
and she goes into the biodigital convergence and, like the energy harvesting. Um, my ex brought up adrenochrome, and of course, he was a gang member. But I thought adrenochrome was a car part back then. I mean, I was so sheltered as a Catholic. The world was good, that there wasn't this much evil. That's one thing I can't get over is the evil that's actually in the world and how many people are involved with this targeting. I mean, because you've got your public officials, you've got your politicians, you've got your police, you've got your doctors, it's just a widespread campaign. Your
Yeah.
judges. I told my judge I was sensitive to EMF fields, and she wrote it up in a document that I said I had a microchip inside me controlling me. And see, now that I don't believe in. I am a very spiritual person, and I don't believe God will let them read my thoughts. And I don't believe that there's certain things they can't get to, is kind of how I believe. I believe I'm sealed in the Lamb's Book of Life. Um, that's the only way I could still be here. They've been trying to kill me for 22 years. So explain to me why I'm still here. In 2012, me and my ex were separated, and we went out with the kids, and he told me I was going to meet his dad. And I go to the hospital, and all my enzymes are up to have a heart attack. And they put a heart monitor on me for a week, and then, of course, throw me in a mental hospital. I mean, that's the biggest thing. I'm just so mental, when everything I'm saying is true, and it gets really frustrating. But the Bible tells you will face this, and when I took my spiritual gift test at church, I got that I had the heart of Christ, and I've definitely been persecuted like him, if not worse. He does say we will do greater things, and I've definitely feel persecuted. My husband and I have had issues even with his family now. His whole family's turned against him, and it just doesn't make sense. They don't come to us and ask us anything. It's just weird. All of a sudden, it's like they think you're a weirdo or something, or, I don't even know what I did to my family, other than they all think I'm on meth and a drug addict, which isn't even true. Um, so just those kind of things.
Yeah, I know how that feels. I've had people say crazy stuff like that towards me too. And another thing is, the Bible does say, he'll put mother against father, father against daughter, in the end days.
Yes. And I went
Um,
through that with my sons.
and so they basically smeared your name, and that's a bad label to have on you, especially what the way the public feels about that. Um, could you could you explain like did you experience gang stalking really bad? If so, could you like describe some situations?
Yes, I did. When I met my ex, I tried to go back because, like I said, I had a boyfriend. I was abducted, and I tried to go back to my boyfriend at the time. He had a video of us being intimate and a recording, and told me he was going to kill him, and he knew everything I did. And no matter where I went or what I did, he knew what was said or done. So I don't know if it's necessarily gang stalking or recording or But having the sense of being followed, you could tell I was being followed. I just didn't recognize the people. And, when I mentioned that to my CPS worker in 2009, she wrote it up that I said I had monsters following me.
Yeah,
So
they twist everything.
everything I said,
Did you ever experience any noise campaigns or anything?
I get the ringing in the ears.
The
Um,
tinnitus? I'm talking about
yes.
like if you were at a gas station or somewhere trying to talk on the phone and they seen it, they might blare some emergency vehicle light or, I mean, sirens or rev their engines or bump their music where you couldn't talk on the
Oh,
phone.
oh, the rev their engines is a real big one for me. Now my ex did admit to his ex-wife burying car parts in a cemetery close to us and going to prison for it. And now if you look, like even Ford in August came out with a patent where they can record, and they can, even for the passenger in your car, where they can make ads. They make it seem nice and friendly. They're just gonna, tone ads to you, or they don't admit to the brain manipulations or the, you know, um, psychological warfare that they're actually doing. But even car companies, we won't say necessarily one or the other, have come up with patents that you can look up and see that they're recording you.
In the
I mean,
cars.
yes. And
Wow.
then they're, specializing the ads to you. I mean, it's basically all psychological warfare. Just like now, if my husband and I talk about, like, what we talk about Great Wolf Lodge or something going there. Well, then all of a sudden our phones are giving us Great Wolf Lodge
Yeah, it'll
ads.
also do that if you're even thinking that. I was watching YouTube the other day and listening to a song, and I was thinking in my mind, I'm like, well, you know what? I'm gonna put it on this song next. I was thinking it. I didn't even. I woke Holly up when it happened because I never listened to the song. It was a rare occasion. That song came on next. I woke Holly up. I'm like, Holly, guess what just happened?
Right, right. It makes you feel like, now I have, uh, being part, I am transhuman. So when they talk about the transhuman thing, I'm what's considered a transhuman. Well, it's an agency. I better not say it, but slave is the next word. Um, so, and there is a direct agency involved with this technology. Um, And so I'm a transhuman slave. And well, I corrected my status with Anna Von Rights, and I'm now an American state national, but they're not respecting it.
Right.
So I think I have to go to this corporation individually and send them like cease and desist and maybe a FOIA. I've never given consent for them to, for me, I feel like I've been raped on a cellular level. Every cell in my body, I've had it to the point where I've pulled wires out of my body and they look like little spider webs.
Kind of like Morgellons.
I don't know what Morgellons are.
Morgellons is nanofibers.
Yes,
Morgellons is a thing. Chemtrails. It's from chemtrails being sprayed and stuff, and it gets in your body, and yeah, you'll pull fibers and stuff out of your body. Yeah.
absolutely. Yes, I just didn't know it was called that. Again, I live within 6th Street of the Louisville International Airport. And
Right.
UPS is right next to that. And then
And I'm going to do a video in the next coming weeks about airports. They have a thing that can read your when you go in the airport, they have a thing that can read your body language. They can feel your cortisol going up or not. They can tell if you're going to commit a crime or something. So if you go in there and you set that off, they'll have people stalking you and all that all around the airports. But it's not just in the airports; it's other places too. But I'm gonna do a video on it, the
I had
technology.
that with the hospitals. When I first found the poison in 2009, I went to downtown and we've got like a hospital corner. There's like three or four of them there. Well, I went from one to the next, and by the time I got to the third one, he's like, "You're not coming in here," and I just found that really odd, like they knew. Um, so, but that was back in 2009, and I really, it took me a while to figure out, everything that was really going on because it is such a complex thing. I am fortunate that my ex said the stuff he did. When he kept telling me I had Satan in me, I took it as a religious thing, like I wasn't a child of God. I really did not learn about the Satan technology until looking up the Soul Catcher and then you reading the book about Soul Catcher.
Right. And
And I was
anybody
like,
who's wondering, Satan is a technology called silent assassination through adaptive networks.
yes. So I've had that. He called me Satan from 2008 to when I left him in 2009. Kept saying I had Satan in me. I didn't know what. I mean, until I seen your show, I didn't put that together. Now I did the biodigital convergence and being poisoned because I found the poison. When I asked the cops to test the poison, they wanted $1,400. And I'm like, I just left an abuser with only my kids and my clothes on my back. He's already broke my nose, broke my ribs, killed his own dad at 14, been a convicted felon, and they did nothing to him. And here I was, clean as a whistle, didn't have anything on my record. I truly try to love everybody. I mean, that's just the spiritual aspect and probably why you know, I had the heart of Christ in me. I feel sorry for some of these people that are carrying this out because, I mean, you hear people that are FBI agents and don't even know it. I mean, it's like they've tapped into them so much, they're playing them like The Sims.
Right. So when
Now,
you say you have the silent assassination through adaptive networks, could you kind of explain what they do to you uh as far as your direct energy weapon torture and stuff? Because I call it direct energy weapons, but it's more neural hacking, brain hacking, body hacking, wireless body area network, stuff like that.
right. Well, I've definitely had the skin on fire where you feel like you're on complete fire. Um, I've had the heart beating out of your chest, like where you feel like you're having a heart attack. I've had it where it's been in a vice grip. Um, the main thing was after I watched your show, and then I had a dream, and then I was hit, and my husband thought I was totally crazy because I asked him to turn off the electric to the house. And I don't know if people really know anything about dirty electricity. But my ex we had to watch Monster House and hear about different things. And that was way back when that movie came out, and it was a kids' movie. But he actually told me this stuff. I just thought he was crazy when he was saying it. I didn't believe our government could be that evil or people could be that evil because it's not in me. Like I'm,
Have you ever experienced like a body buzzing throughout your whole body?
yes, all
Yeah,
the
like I
time.
experienced that, and I'm not gonna lie, since I started taking these smart drops, they got turkey tail, cordyceps, lion's mane mushroom, reishi mushrooms extract, and it's a very strong formula of it. My vibrations, every time I close my eyes, I would feel vibrations really, really bad and heavy in my shocks to my brain. And you can ask Holly, I would try laying on the floor, couldn't get no sleep. Ever since I've been taking that, I don't know if it detoxes your body from some of this nanotechnology or whatever, but my vibrations are and shocks are half of what they used to be. There's days I sat here, with a plastic Ziploc bag full of water laid over my head. She did too. There's times, but ever since we started taking this, it's really helped. I mean, we still get hit and attacked pretty bad, but I mean, nowhere near to what was going on about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, see, I would get in the bathtubs with the baking
Epsom
soda and the
salt and
board.
bacon. Yeah, I done that
Yeah,
too. Matter of fact, 2 birthdays ago, that's what she bought me. She bought me Dr. Teal's this clay and almond Epsom salt and stuff. She bought me 2 packs of it, and I was happy to get that for my birthday because that so much relief from it.
another thing that really helps is betadine. The povidone, uh, iodine solution,
Mm-hmm.
or taking iodine. Now, the mushrooms, I absolutely, lion's mane is it's a nootropic. It helps rebuild your brain muscles or your neurons. So anything like that, my issue is um I was getting lots of success from 2012 to 2022. In 2022, I noticed that a company that I was ordering from had the nanotechnology in the packaging for my supplements. So it made
Wow.
me nervous to take my supplements for a while too. But I've
Right.
come to the realization that at this point, since 2020 and what went down then, everybody is exposed to it at everywhere. I mean, it's in the chemtrails, it's in our food, it's in our water, it's in our supplements, it's in our dental stuff, it's in our eye care. Um, and I'm not a big fan of some of these world organizations that, the Bible speaks we're going to have one world government. Was that coming through the World Economic Forum? Is that, I just, I'm not a fan of going to that because I think they have to have brain control to get everybody to a- agree to that. And that takes away free will. And that's totally against my
Right.
creator.
Did you ever have times in your targeting like where you just felt totally isolated and alone and like you just felt like the whole world was against you?
Yes,
Yeah, same here. She definitely did too. It's a horrible feeling, and unless one feels that, they'll never know how horrible the feeling that is.
right.
I mean, if you took
Well,
somebody who I mean, I really can't say that, but I was thinking sometime, I used to think, well, I'm walking these streets, I'm a homeless on the street, everybody's against me, and I'm still standing here and I'm not giving up. Most people who lived in their nice mansions, you take them, put them in the street, turn everybody against them, they'll be dead in a week. So really, I look at it that way, like, man, I'm a strong person, but it's only because of
me
God,
too.
because it's not me. I'm here by the grace of God, you know.
That's exactly how I view it. It's like I don't think they realize when they're messing with me, they're messing with innocent blood. And
Yeah,
there's
Psalms
lots of
105,
scripture.
15. Psalms
Mhm.
105:15 says, touch not my anointed, do my prophets no harm. Not calling myself a prophet or anointed, but God, that means God's people in general.
Yes. Well, and it says, I don't know what scripture, I think it might be in Mark, but I don't know. It's better for you to have a boulder tied around your neck and thrown into the water than to hurt the innocent trust of my people.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did leave, when I found the poison in '09, I had one in kindergarten and one was 4. And I'm running to the bus compound. They had one where we do busing. So I'm running to the bus compound going, you cannot take my child home. You cannot take my child home. And he's like, ma'am, I have to. I have to. And, so I told him my story, and it was the greatest thing. I'll never forget it. He proclaimed Isaiah 54:17 over me. He said, no weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that raises against you, every evil tongue that raises against you, you will
Shall
condemn.
be condemned. Yep.
Well, when I left in December of '09, I didn't think I was going to turn 33 in September. That I didn't think I was going to make my 33rd birthday. So the fact that I'm sitting here in 47 says a lot.
Amen. That's
Um,
amazing. Uh, so let me try. I'm trying to think. Did you ever experience like in your targeting a honeypot, somebody they sent to try to keep up with your target behind the scenes and woo you and make you fall in love and
all kinds of them, all kinds of them. They really were trying to prostitute me, like sex traffic me. I should
right.
show you a picture of when I was younger. I was beautiful before I went through all this. I mean, now that I've gone through it, I've lost teeth. I wear a partial. He was doing stuff to my toothbrush when I found the poison, and I
Mm.
came back to get something, and what bothered me was it wasn't just mine, it was our two sons also. And my son just went there for Thanksgiving and ended up in the hospital with strep throat for a week. They took him off work from last Monday until today. So, my son doesn't even realize for 8 to 10 years, they realized that he had done something to them. And now it's like they've been brainwashed, completely brainwashed
Against you,
against me.
man.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah,
And
I mean, this is a classic case of targeting, definitely. Trying to think of where to go with this because this is a you've had a deep experience. Do you think you experience remote neural monitoring?
yes, absolutely.
Like, or have you ever experienced directed conversation where somebody will be talking about somebody will just come out of the blue and talk to somebody else about something going on in your life, and there's no way they could have known it, but indirectly, not to you, but letting you know, hey, we know what's going on in your life right now.
I don't think sometimes of that. Yeah.
Like, say somebody might walk up to another person and say, "Man, they just took my kids away. I can't believe that." And because they know you're going through, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Like there's fishing. Yes.
Yeah.
I've actually read minds before too, which creeps me out. Um,
Well, if your discernment's high with God, like I was in an instance, where I was about to be kidnapped, and 20 minutes before, it flashed before my eyes what was going to happen and the route I needed to take to escape it, the split second decision I needed to make, and I made it. People can think I'm crazy or whatever. It happened. I seen the
I've
route,
had
what was
those.
going to, yeah. So I believe you.
Yeah, I even went into like the Center for Women and Families for 9 months, and sadly, they ended up being involved too. I mean, just I don't know because of certain things. Um, my ex did come. We got locked down, and nobody told me. Another girl had to tell me. But like even my friends, a lot of mine was recognizing the poisons. Like they would come over and I don't know, my underwear and bra drawer would have black crap all over it, or things you could visibly see. And my ex was doing stuff with batteries and TVs. Whenever we got in a fight, he would put the phone underwater or break his 60 something plasma TV. Always had to have the best of TVs and computers. One of the things that my ex did was bring an old dusty computer home and attach it to ours. And see, like, even right now, I'm holding my phone. I can feel all the waves coming up and down my arms. I feel it in my chest. I feel electronics. And
So
that's
it's
what
kind of like
freaked me.
EMF sensitivity, really, really bad.
Yes, and that's what I said to the judge that said I'd never say I have a microchip in me controlling me because that's where my faith starts. You can't control me. I'm God. Nothing I'm God's. Nothing can separate me from him. You can influence me, which they've done. I mean, I've done things I never would have done if I hadn't been messed with. But definitely the men that were coming at me, trying to figure out, like me and my husband, I put him through some severe testing. I still will have trust issues with him on some things just because of what I've been through. Um,
We do it
but
too here. Oh, we can
but I
relate to that definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
is that
And that's from trauma. Your trauma makes you do that because you always find yourself thinking, well, what if,
well, it's like everybody else is against me. Why wouldn't they be?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things.
But if you got
Um,
the power to get through it, your love will go stronger and stronger. Then, that's what's happened with me and her. Our love has grown stronger and stronger because we saw through all the stuff they tried to do to keep us apart and all that and put in our heads and stuff like that. And when you get through it, you're stronger. Don't mean we don't have days where we kind of question, but when we have problems like that, we address it straight up. Hey, I'm having this going on. I'm thinking this about you. And we'll just ask each other. And then, you know, you could, people with discernment can tell when somebody's lying or somebody's sincere. That's what I
Yeah,
love about the gift of discernment.
yes. Well, that, and then he promises if you ask for wisdom to give it to you.
Yep.
You know, so once you ask for that, and me and my husband we're celebrating 10 years here in a week on December 24th.
That's awesome.
So, but when this first started, my son beat up my husband in October of 2021 and went to jail. All because we had church revival at church. We had just lost our youth, or I mean, our worship pastor's wife to COVID. We had just had COVID. And it's like something kicked in my son's eyes. I don't know if you've ever studied iridology. You can, you know how the Bible says the eyes are the window to the soul.
Yeah.
You can look in somebody's eyes and see how healthy or unhealthy they are by the white lines. And it's kind of just like a foot reflexology chart or a hand reflexology chart. Have you heard of those?
Yeah. I know about the hand reflexology.
Okay. Because I deal a lot with the foot reflexology with my ionic foot detox machines. Um,
I want to try one of those.
they are awesome. The only thing I can say is in 2022, and this was something that caused me and my ex or me and my husband to have issues, was mine quit reading the salt content correctly. And I feel like now that the smart meters have been initiated and they say they go in and put little antennas in all your appliances, that maybe they have had, I still have to take other stuff to detox from that too, is my point. But,
Right. Anything you leave plugged in, a smart meter is just like a smartphone. So what I can do is if I got a smart meter, if I got control of your smart meter, I can pull it up. All right, there's a lamp plugged in here. Let me weaponize that, shoot some dirty electricity at them real quick. Or, oh, there's an air conditioner plugged in here. I can use that. You know, people don't understand how advanced it is.
no, they don't. And I've been sharing Wi-Fi and I mean for 10, 12 years on social media platforms. Because when we left the mercury bulbs and we went to Wi-Fi, I mean our light bulbs are even doing it.
Oh
In
yeah,
our
when I'm sitting under, there's a chandelier where we eat dinner, and when I sit under it, I have to wear my migraine ice cap because I will feel intense burning from them lights, burning the
well,
vibrations and shock feelings.
yeah, my husband doesn't truly understand that. Right now, he's going through the because we do live in a smart city. He's going through um like radiation poisoning. And I think I went through it, but I went through it at a much younger age.
And
My
now,
husband,
does he have thyroid problems?
I have thyroid problems,
I
and
do
I
too.
have
She does too.
since I met my ex.
Because
I
your
got,
thyroid absorbs all your radiation.
yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do. I do. I'm on the highest. Well, I was on the highest. I actually quit taking my thyroid medicine about
Synthroid.
6. Yes,
Yeah, we take,
200 micrograms, and then
he's on
liothyronine.
200.
Yeah, and then I have fibro. And then I
Oh,
have degenerative disc disease. And then I have osteoporosis. And then I have endometriosis. And then I have PCOS. My ex said he sterilized me, but I had a child with
with
my husband.
endometriosis, you had a child?
I did.
Wow. That's a
I call
miracle in
her my
itself.
miracle child. Absolutely. She's 8 years old, and they have kidnapped her and they're child trafficking her because she has chromosomal mutations from what they've done. Like they've created a new species. The good thing is, they say it's cystic fibrosis, but she's been going through sodium chloride tests since she was born, and she never tests in, like, you have to be 60, and she's testing in 30s. So
Wow.
she's almost asymptomatic. But, a lot of your cystic fibrosis babies didn't live past 20 years ago.
Right.
And they have seemed to gotten there somehow. That's what I wish. Use this technology for good. If you've got it in a good person, for God's sakes, use it for good because it can be used for good.
Yes,
I
it
mean,
can.
But, to take good people and use it like so evilly, it's evil behind it. It's Satan behind it. That's the other thing. It does say in the Bible that our battle is not against flesh and blood.
Principalities, dark and spiritual. Yeah.
So I try and keep that in mind with everybody I come in contact with. I mean, do they know what they're doing? Are they conscious? Have they been zapped and brainwashed? Or, because I've just seen it on such a different level. When my son at church, that revival, he took his girlfriend home to our house. Nobody was home. He's 17, she's 15. When he got back to church, I grounded him. He hit me.
Mm.
One of my friends comes running over. He punched her, blacked her eye. She fell to the ground. She's a little bitty size, like 4. Then he stomped on her chest. And it wasn't him. In school, he was always the good little boy. Now, my other one, my middle child, he was my hell raiser. But this one was my oldest, who had always, had excellence in what is that behavior, and always very caring towards others. So but I could see something in his eyes, like it switched over, and I noticed that in my ex's eyes too. It's just like, I don't know, are they getting demon possessed? Is it now? I know it's probably the technology. But back then, before I knew all of the technology, I thought, oh, there's a demon in there or something, which, I mean, it still could maybe be the truth, but it's just, I view
Yeah,
it as
it blew my mind when my targeting started, and I was in Florida, and went to some churches, and they turned me. Matter of fact, I was on FaceTime with a friend, and I said, "Watch this." She said, "What?" I said, "I'm going to go ask for food. They're going to tell me they don't give food." And I'm gonna say, I'm not gonna let them know I'm on face. Then I'm gonna go in the bushes and hide, and you're gonna see people come and leave with food. And I done that and proved it to her. She's dead now. Lynette Castle was her name, but um, they killed her. But yeah, so it blew my mind, like, because I'm like you, I was from a good family. Well, my dad had a bunch of wives and stuff, but anyway, pretty much from a good family. But I was raised in my grandparents had me in church, so I'm like, man, churches are involved. It blew my mind. I thought there was
me
better
too.
people out there than that.
A lot of mine really didn't start with the church, I don't feel like, until after COVID. So, after COVID, it's like, because before, at the church I was at, I was teaching Sunday school. I was still working with kids. And then, we shut down a course for 2020. We reconvened sometime in the summer, like June of 20, well, I don't know. We went to Florida in August of 21, and that's where we actually got the COVID. We took a little girl from church, and her dad had gotten it, and he was in the hospital with his oxygen real low. They didn't think he was going to make it. We also had counselors. Our counselors both died of COVID. Well, a counselor and his wife. They died like a day apart. But he was a pastoral licensed counselor. And, now they're saying that I'm just so mental, I can't have a child. And I'm trying to figure out what I've done that's so
It's
mental.
because you know the truth. You found out the truth, so they got to, they don't want, they can't admit that you're right, so they got to call you mental. So what they
Yeah,
basically did is, so from your story, they basically took a good woman who had kids, destroyed her, turned everybody against her, and hooked her up to biodigital convergence. That's
pretty
it in a
much.
nutshell, and that's
Yeah.
sad.
And they drain your energy. And,
Yeah,
and, like my ex with the adrenochrome stuff, he would buy a Chucky doll and scare my boys half to death. One of my boys' names is Tyler, and there's a part in a Chucky movie where it's like, Tyler, Tyler, come out wherever you are. he held my kid's eyes open. My kid was trying to shut his daggone eyes. And I
Mm.
mean, I came with these complaints to court, and court did nothing.
Right, because
So,
he knew the right people and was plugged in with the right people then. Yeah.
right.
Yep.
Well, I would assume being in prison and being in the gang that he was, that all led with all that.
Right. That's what I was thinking. I was like, man, my ex's family just does not know. Because I used to work on cars with her dad and stuff. And he showed me how to work on cars. We were real close. He knows better than some of the lies that was told that I did that I really didn't do. And it's, I'm like, man, how can her family keep believing these stories? Because I'm not the only one she's made the stories up on. So it's just, man. So I was going to ask how it affected your health, but you've done explain that. And can you hold a job with your targeting? I would say not, huh?
No, I've been on disability. I started filing in 2008. I've been on disability since 2011. But I did, and I was, doing Sunday school on Sundays and Wednesdays with the kids at church because I love kids. I love
Right.
kids. That's been the hardest thing. The last 2 years has been the only 2 years of my life I have not had children around me.
And see, when they profiled you, they knew you loved kids.
Oh, yeah, I worked with special needs kids.
Yeah,
My
so
ex
they knew
told
that would
me,
hurt you.
right.
They do anything they can to hurt you. Well,
My
I
ex
only
told
got two
me,
more questions, if that's okay.
okay.
And that question is, what message would you, if there's any of my viewers are new or any of my old ones, because you know a lot. Do you have any tips you would like to give to them as far as how you deal with your targeting or how you get through all that, how you got through all the smear campaigns and all that?
Well, you have to be walking the narrow path. I mean, you can't give them any reason to, like, for me, I had a huge problem with the fentanyl they put me on, so I started using pot. And, it's been proven that it adheres to the same receptors as like COVID, same with nicotine. But, you'll still be greatly put down for it, even though it was legal until 1937 when, they started a lot of this crap. A lot of people don't realize it's ongoing for like 60 years. I mean, it's just now coming to the surface, and they're only letting it out because they've already accomplished what they wanted.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
think
in the
we'd be able.
1800s, cannabis and CBD oil and cannabis and marijuana was used in medical for a lot of ailments and infections and all kinds of stuff.
Well, it's anti-parasitical and antiviral. I mean, it's very good. And that's the other thing. I went into my doctor's office and told her I had parasites coming out of my foot detox, and they're all calling me delusional. Um, m- the I am blessed, and my counselors wouldn't agree with the government doctor. See what they did with CPS is they made us do a forensic mental evaluation, but see, I was choosing Christian counselors. So, but that one said no, it could only be state. I could use no holistic health whatsoever, and that I was hallucinating the pictures of my foot detoxes. I,
Wow.
I don't even know how somebody in their right mind can believe that a picture is a hallucination, but whatever. And it got wrote up that my husband hit my daughter when she was going to hug him. What
Wow.
what, what person does that? Plus, again, he's got grandchildren. You know, his oldest son thinks I'm the worst thing ever and has cut his grandchildren off. Now, his second son he raised himself, so he hasn't done that. But, and my husband really hasn't got to talk about being targeted because his own sister went behind his back. But
Oh, was he going to talk today?
he was going to, yes.
Oh, yeah, we could do him too. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I was going to say I have a short video on here too of on my YouTube channel showing where they pressed garlic and got the allicin out of it, and they put it on parasites and it killed it. We take garlic religiously around here.
I do too.
Yeah.
I make my own tinctures. I grow my own herbs. Um, But with the chemtrails and everything else, that's what I found. You know, it was a lot easier to get away from this technology 10 years ago than it is now.
Right.
One of the first things that I had was, you know, when I was having heart issues, they put me on. They were doing a scan of my heart at the hospital, and it felt like my heart was in a vice grip. And so I jumped out from that machine, and I said, I can't sit under this machine anymore.
Right.
So, so you know, that made them think I was crazy too. But when you feel like your heart's in a vice grip, you're going to get out of it. You're not sitting there. I can promise you that.
Right. Well, is Bob ready to do his?
Yes, yes. I'm
Thank
so
you,
happy
Laura.
it's coming out of my hands. How you doing?
All right. How are you? Good as
Well,
you can be, huh?
yeah, right, exactly.
Mm. Okay. So, Bob, how long have you been targeted?
Okay, I have to be honest with you. Since they took the kids, 2022,
Okay.
I had nothing. Uh, I mean, you know, I've worked all my life. I was a scoutmaster. I was a scout leader for 20 years. I I had never had a CPS case, nothing. I raised my son by myself. But when all this started, they went after me because I was uh, with Laura.
Right.
So they as a matter of fact, when all this started, um, the public defender told me if you divorce your wife, you might be able to get back your daughter. So
Wow. So they
they were
gave you that
trying to
ultimatum of trying to ruin her further and get you away from her too.
exactly. They wanted to separate us to make it easier to go after her.
Now, did they ever come to you and say, "Hey, Laura's this, Laura's that," and try to smear her name?
Yes, yes. It's matter of fact in the reports that they came up with, um, the reason they were saying all this stuff about her, but they had no proof. It was just some lady saying things that was paid by the state.
Right.
And 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 the reason why she put off that I couldn't get Sarah back is because I didn't recognize that Laura was mental. But I knew she wasn't. I'm here with her 24 hours a day, every day. I mean, I retired in 2016, a couple months after our daughter was born. We were together all the time. I was fortunate enough to be able to be with my daughter all day, every day until she started school. But they wanted me to think that Laura was mental, although I knew better than that. Um, and she was a fantastic mother. But they made it look like that she was negligent, and so I was too because I didn't see what they said about her.
Wow. Well, that's some pretty rough targeting right there.
I mean,
I'm just glad you were strong enough to see through the BS and y'all stayed together. You know,
right,
I
we
think
did have
that's
a hard
awesome.
time in 2016. Yeah, I think so myself. Um, as a matter of fact, they going through court, they never had an ounce of evidence on anything. They said we couldn't supply housing. We had two houses, both paid for. Couldn't couldn't supply food. Our house had always had abundant of food. No proof. Couldn't provide clothing. We still have clothing for our daughter up to like size 12 still, and couldn't provide education. Both boys graduated high school, went to college. Sarah started school at 3 years old, so she had already had 3 years of schooling when they took her away from us. So no proof whatsoever, and we were paying for a private school for her. She was in a Christian school, and they put her with the teacher there, and she flunked kindergarten.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, they've done
yeah,
that intentionally.
that's what they moved the kids to two 24-year-olds. One was the youth pastor, one was a teacher at the same school we paid for her to go to. But once she got with them,
Yeah, she flunked the first year, so we had to pay for another year of private school, and it was kindergarten. And then it said we had continued abuse and neglect. Never once said what the abuse or neglect was. Just some CPS worker running her mouth, and that's what they based their uh, taking away our parental rights on that letter that she signed. That I even asked her in court, "Where's your proof on all this?" She goes, "Oh no, we're not going by that anymore." But yet, when we got the parental rights terminated, that same letter is the letter that they used why they terminated our rights.
Tell them about turning your closest sibling against
So,
you.
so yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the kind of stuff. And yet, my sister passed away in August. Last year, they did a home visit. They came to our home. This is a CPS worker. Came to our home, said everything was fine. This was right before Thanksgiving. This was on a Friday. Monday, they called us up and said, "Well, we got to change the plan. Sarah's going to Arkansas." So, what do you mean she's going to Arkansas? Yeah, she's going to go with your sister. You can't do that. Oh, I can do whatever we want. We have custody. The next day, they sent her to Arkansas, 475 miles away with my sister,
All
across
right.
state
So,
lines.
so did you say that? So when you got with her, your family and all kinds of people turned against you too, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. Now, did you experience any stalking or gang stalking, like where crowds of people were following you around just to try to make you nervous or, you know, try to put pressure on you to make you just, want to leave Laura or, just be scared in general?
No, it was really only verbally.
Oh, okay.
Now I don't know because I'm not a real suspicious person. I don't know if people were following me. I can't say yes or no. I do know the verbal garbage went on. It was constantly trying to make me think there's something wrong with Laura. Constantly. And like I say, even my own family was doing that. And I still have never gotten a reason why. Because I was what has she done to you? Nobody can ever explain that. So unfortunately, people believe in lies. They believe in garbage.
Right. And I guess they didn't have, I guess they didn't have to do much stalking if they could smear your name with lies and stuff and ruin your
Exactly.
life for
Now,
that.
anybody could have asked me, okay, can I sit down and have a conversation with you and express their so-called concerns and hear my side of the story? No one's ever done that because they know better. They know
Because
better.
they know the truth about Laura anyway. So they know, you know,
Exactly. Exactly. They know better that I don't play that garbage. Uh, I always have been upfront with everybody. I'll tell you exactly what I think, not exactly what you want to hear, but what I think and what I know. But people don't want to hear that kind of stuff anymore. If they
nope.
make up a lie and they have an agenda, and what I'm going to say is going to go against their agenda, they don't want to hear it. So rather than hear my side of the story, they just ignore it and then just don't say anything to me.
Right.
I
Have
mean,
y'all ever had have y'all
I've
ever
lost
had
a lot of my
anybody like
family.
have phones hacked or have they damaged your house or did anything like that, messed with your cars or anything?
Yes.
Okay, well, funny how you mentioned that. About 6 months ago, we had two vans. The brakes went out in both vans at the same time. They
Wow.
they things have been done to our houses. Now we've sold one of the houses. Things have been done to the houses where you knew somebody was inside. I mean, clear proof of it. I mean, not just how I think. Clear proof.
Right.
So yeah,
Well, and when we separated, tell him this part. I, my son had beat Bob up, and they told me that Bob and my son couldn't be together. So I came to my mom's house in Louisville, and Bob stayed with my other son in Vine Grove. And that's kind of when me and Bob started breaking apart because we weren't living together, and my son was swearing up and down my husband hit him. but my husband was the one with the black eye, and my son was the one that went to jail. Well, CPS charged my husband for domestic violence, even though my husband never even hit my child. So when we started getting targeted, my kids seen my rays come from the supplier, all dirty brown, for my foot detox machine, seen my pills come with, I don't know, graphene oxide, and my TSH went up to 95. Now, you have had thyroid problems, so you know that it's supposed to be under 5. Well,
Yeah.
4.94, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But so 95 was like way out of range.
Yeah.
Well, my husband had
Holly's
been,
was like that. And that's why they put her on 200 Synthroid at night, because they said her vitamins too, she couldn't take vitamins with it because it cancels them out. She had to take her vitamins in the morning, take that. And then also when your TS levels is up, it puts fluid on your legs.
yeah, I have problems with my left leg swelling all the time. I've got a stent in my subclavian artery that I had put in at 34, 35, something like that.
Wow.
Back in March of 22, like she said, I left our house in Vine Grove and I came to the house here in Louisville. When I went back to the house in Vine Grove about a month later, I was in the hospital in less than a week with my kidneys operating at 5%.
Mm.
And kidney is part of radiation poisoning.
Yeah,
Yep.
never had kidney problems ever. And all of a sudden I go back to that house and I'm at 5% and I spent 5 days in the hospital.
And
Wow.
now
Did it
he's
cause a
having,
blockage? Because I had a 35-day blockage in 2022 where I had to have a catheter.
Oh no, I didn't have to have that. After 5 days in the hospital, on uh, IV and all that,
Oh, okay.
they got it up to about 48%, and they let me go home.
Wow. Is it
But,
better now?
yes, matter of fact, I just went to my vascular doctor yesterday, and
no.
No, the kidney I'm talking about. She said it was operating fine,
That's good.
but I'm also not in that house.
Right.
This one is worse in my opinion, but the other
Right. Do
thing
you
is,
experience, so she said you're new to this electrical. Do you experience dirty electricity, like a sensitivity to electricity and stuff, like vibrations or little shocks or tingling or burns?
No, I don't. Now, they did come and put a smart meter on our house without us knowing it, and I called them up and told them I wanted them to come out and take it off, put the other one back on.
Did they do it?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Wow, they
Yes.
won't do that here. If they want to leave them on. But I think you gotta pay for the installation or something. Maybe I'm lying on that. I'm not lying on purpose, but I'm just saying maybe something's different. But we have tried and they said, well, we can't do it. So I guess some neighborhoods or the HOA or something in some neighborhoods don't let that happen, or I don't know why some neighborhoods, you
Well, now
can't have them off the houses.
they are charging us extra a month,
Oh, okay.
so we are paying for it, but it's worth it to not have it on our house.
Right, right. Right. Yeah, because we had a smart refrigerator. It's not hooked up to the smart. We didn't hook it up to the Wi-Fi or nothing like that, and we ain't going to. We don't believe in
Yeah.
none of that smart technology in the house because I just think it's going to end up bad.
Yeah, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad, and it's working its way toward that. Now, I have experienced. I have to have cataract surgery Friday, and I didn't have any problem until coming back to this house. But my eyesight has gotten progressively worse in the last. I went last year, and they said, "Oh, you got a little cataract, but it's not a problem." A year later, he goes, "I can't believe how bad they have gotten in a year." So I don't know
You
what's
know
going
what's
on there.
crazy? My girlfriend, they told direct energy weapons cause cataracts. They done that to my girlfriend. She went blind in her right eye completely and had to have her surgery. And now it's happening in her left eye. So and she gets hit with lasers and stuff. So
I almost had perfect vision.
she had perfect vision before all that started too.
Yeah, so did I. I used to have 2017,
Yeah.
and then It just in the last. I mean, I started wearing glasses about 20 years ago, but it was nothing like that. I could usually just have reading glasses and I was fine. But now, um, like I said, in the last year, it's just gotten so horrible. But I know it's not normal. And when the doctor tells you, I can't believe this has gotten this bad in a year's time, something's going on.
Yep.
No, exactly. So
But I
did
have not had the experience that Laura has had. Um, People always left me alone, and I was always friends with
Well,
most
I think it's
everybody.
sick that they done that to her. They knew she liked kids. So what they did was they had, because that's public humiliation at its finest. They had her kids took away. Now everybody whispers, look, all that. And I know that you wouldn't be with her if she was a bad mother or some woman like that. And also on top of that, you wouldn't get up here and lie about, her being a bad mother or something. I don't think you'd be with her. So if you're saying, oh, she was a good woman, like kids and stuff, I'm gonna believe it, because I know
Well, it's
how
the truth.
when they want somebody,
Nobody
if you got the
understands.
right people against you, they will destroy you.
Well, because she is a good person. She's a great person. I mean, at our last house, we put up a pool in the backyard, and we would have all the neighbors' kids and stuff over and be going swimming and cooking out and stuff. If she was such a bad mother, those you think those people would let those kids come to our house?
Yeah, and the church wouldn't let her teach Sunday school.
Exactly, exactly.
Right,
But they can pull the church's license if they don't cooperate. That's what I mean by there's no separation of church and state. If
right.
our church didn't cooperate, the government could have went in and pulled their license.
Wow. So how do you cope with all this going on?
I I I don't cope very well. I mean, it tears me up every day. I don't have my daughter, and the fact that we're being talked about and harassed over things that people don't know anything about
Yeah, and
and
they
don't
never,
want to
like you
know
said,
about.
they never ask you.
No, no, they don't.
That's sick.
They all know what kind of person I am, and if they ask me, they're going to get it straight. But they don't want that because then you can't play your little games and talk about the people and all this other garbage. You can't do it.
Right. Yeah, that is sick. This story, these people are sick.
They are, they are. I can't believe there's people like that out here, but apparently it's widespread.
Right. Well, how did y'all figure out about this targeting program and what was going on?
How did I figure it out?
Through research or?
I'll be honest with you. It's Laura. Laura. She looks up a lot of this stuff, and I can't take credit for it. I'm just following what she started.
Right.
But from day one, remember laying in bed with me and me just being shocked? I'd be sitting there jumping, and I mean, you know, 10 years ago, him thinking it was just my fibro. He's why I got off my medicine, and I don't think I would be living if I didn't. They had me on 30 different prescriptions when I had that stent put in, and that was in 13. And I mean, I was on all the bad ones: Opana, fentanyl,
Oh yeah.
Oxy, Xanax, Somas. I mean, they were not trying to keep me alive.
We went to a hotel on Valentine's Day, and she
Right.
decided to go off all her medicine at the same time. It was hell because that's a lot. That's a lot to just stop. And we came back to her mom's house, and she was she was out of it. She was just saying all kind of wild stuff, and her mom wanted me to take her to a mental hospital. I drove her to the mental hospital, and we sat in the waiting room, and I saw everybody around me, and I thought, "There's no way I'm leaving you in this place." So I took her back to my house, uh, and we stayed there the weekend. And came back to her mom's, and I said, "There's no way I could have let her in their place. She doesn't belong in that place." She took
So she
off.
did it cold turkey?
Yes,
Wow. Wow. Yeah, because
yes.
the industry or whatever you want to call it, I'm not going to name it on here, but they want to get you on all this stuff and act like, well, you need it, then you get hooked on it. and then you're just left in the wild if you don't have it.
Yeah, they don't want to find out the problem. They want to just give you a remedy that doesn't fix anything except put money in their pocket.
Right. And make you not be spiritual or work on your spirituality. You know, they
Yes,
want to keep
exactly.
us either doped up through medication, or busy with no time to find yourself, who you are, and who God is.
Yeah, no time to think.
Right.
None whatsoever. So like I said, I haven't had anything like Laura. I couldn't even uh, make stuff up to what she's been through. And what she says, she's lucky that you're still alive. She is. I could see that
Do you feel
because
like
she's
y'all
had
are
a lot.
stronger people going after y'all been through this? Talking about as a couple?
I think so.
Right.
Now, like you said, everything that she's been through, yeah, once in a while she'll come up with something and to go after me as far as uh, thinking I might be involved or something. But I think she's learning a lot about this is not one person. For one thing, I didn't even know her when all this stuff started. But
We've been there with each other. Me and Holly's been there with each other. We know what you're talking about. Yeah.
yeah,
When I went off all that medicine, though, I do feel like I had that voice of God. Like I put on Facebook, Bob and I were getting married, and I knew we were getting married. And I don't know if it was really God or just going off all of it, like where I could, but I seen us getting married. I've seen things. There's been different times where he's given me visions that have come true. There was one point where I had a total epiphany and everything made sense and I understood it, but it only lasted for maybe 10 minutes and then it's like it left me. Does that make
Wow.
sense?
Yeah, it makes a
And
lot of sense.
I've had a lot of Ramas, you know. Do you know what Ramas are?
Rhema
Like,
word. Yeah. Are you talking about, ain't the Rhema word where God shows you something when you're reading his word? Or is that there's
it's
three
just
different
where he
types of
shows you.
words.
Yeah, it's just where he shows you something. I knew I was going to have my daughter. I told my husband in court, when we were in court with my ex, we were going to have a baby. I told my kids 7 years before she came that we were going to have a little girl. And I was already told that I was sterilized. My ex told me I was sterilized. So,
yeah, and I was when our daughter was born. I was 59, and she
Wow.
wasn't supposed to be able to have kids.
yeah, I'd
So
already had PCOS, endometriosis,
that's a miracle baby.
Yeah,
And
endometriosis, you're not supposed to be able to have kids.
well, we proved them wrong.
And my dad had a kid at 61.
There you go. Yeah, I have. My oldest is 36, so that was a big gap.
Right.
That was a big gap in between there. The people at work thought I was crazy because I can't believe you're starting all over. I said, well, I adopted Laura's two boys, so I started over then. So I mean, we didn't. I had all boys.
Wow.
So why not a little girl?
Yeah, I'm in my 40s and got an 8-year-old brother.
Hmm.
So.
well, that's weird because ours is 8 too. And
Wow,
I'm
that is weird.
47.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my dad met some woman in the Philippines and they've been married like 15 to 20 years and so he's happy, so that's all that matters. But they don't have nothing to do. Of course, he don't want me bringing up targeting and he don't have much to do with me. And I was a daddy's boy growing up, so that's a big change right there.
yeah, yeah. Our daughter was a aunt 3 months before she was born, because my granddaughter was born February 2nd, and Sarah was born May 2nd. So she was an aunt before she was even born.
Wow.
And they were very close until this went down. But now
Yeah, and
oldest
I
son,
know it's a miracle baby because my handler had endometriosis and she used to say I can't have no kid, blah blah blah, all that stuff. So I know that I know for a fact if you had endometriosis and had a kid, that's a miracle baby.
Well, PCOS is ovarian cyst.
Wow.
So,
Well, that goes to show you anything can happen, huh?
Exactly. As long as you got some faith.
well, and Bob had prostate cancer.
Oh, really? Did you
Yeah.
beat it?
Yep.
Yeah, my grandpa beat his, but my grandpa on my mom's side died from it.
Yeah, my PSA's been down for a good 15 years.
So this targeting, so back to the question, so the targeting did nothing but bring y'all closer, right?
Yes, I would have to say so.
I mean, and plus, and all they did when they were trying to get you to turn against her was make you see, hey, maybe stuff she's been saying's right.
Yeah, right.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, but you see, you got people saying stuff, but they don't know. They just know what they want to know. But if I'm with her 24 hours a day, I know more than you know because I'm with her all the time. I see the truth. I don't listen to all this garbage and make my own stories up. I see the truth. And if there was some, I'd be gone.
Right. I think something happened to the volume of y'all's. I can't hear y'all.
You can't hear me now?
Yeah, I can now.
Okay, the phone rang.
Oh, okay.
So I had to dismiss it.
Well, that's about all I got.
Let me,
Tell them about
Oh.
your heart,
have they experienced
because that's part of the radiation poisoning too.
Oh, Holly wanted to know, have y'all experienced drones,
follow-
drones following you or hovering above your house or anything like that?
I haven't. I know they're there.
Yeah, I believe we have. I don't pay any mind to it because my handler my whole life grew up one street over from me. That's what made it so hard to get away from him is even when I came to my mom's, he was one street over. When I filed my EPO that they actually did grant in '06, um, we weren't even 1,000 feet apart.
Wow.
His mom finally sold the house in 2019, but they tore it down. Everybody that lives here in these houses, they're tearing the houses down. So I know they're doing something to the houses.
Right. They're rebuilding new ones there.
No,
No, they're not rebuilding anything. They're just tearing them down.
Oh, wow.
but this is Indian burial ground too, and
Wow.
it's high real estate because the airport's been wanting it for 30 years.
Oh, so sort of like a Yellowstone situation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. But like
Well,
I say, I know the drones are there. They're all over the place. I mean, but like Laura said, I don't pay attention to them because but I don't know what I can do about it anyway.
right. Well, you being with somebody who is targeted and stuff like that, what advice would you give to a family member or a friend of somebody who's targeted, who's trying to understand this?
Well, that's a good question. I think you have to believe in the person, believe in yourself that you're doing the right thing, and don't give up on them.
Right. Yep. That's an
follow
excellent
God.
answer. Well, I thank y'all for coming out. And do y'all have anything else y'all wanted to talk about before I'm in this?
Well, the elevated heart rate and all that you're going through now because we're still being subject to
Yeah,
radiation
like
poisoning.
I told you, I just went to my vascular doctor yesterday, and um, my heart rate is elevated.
Wow.
And I can sit here because we have blood pressure machine. I can sit here and take my blood pressure, and at one point it'll be 190 something over like 120, and then 4 or 5 hours later I can take it and it's 119 over 81.
Yeah, that's what I was fixing to ask you. Have you ever went to the hospital and they said, well, ain't nothing wrong with you? And you know there's something wrong.
I have.
Yeah, Laura has a lot.
Yeah, I'm
Laura
talking
has
about with your heart rate. Like, you by the time you get to the hospital, it ain't happening no more.
no. I actually back in 2016, I was at work and I had lower back pain for about a week, and it just wouldn't go away. And it something didn't seem right. So it was lunchtime. Everybody was at lunch. I got in my truck and drove to the hospital. It told them my problem. They got me in the back, hooked me up to the machine, and 20 minutes later, I was getting surgery to have a stent put in.
Wow.
Our daughter was only 2 months old.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Well, we'll be
while I was
praying
in,
about your heart rate because that's no joke right there.
no, it's not. No, it's not.
And it's
I
scary.
yes,
I
yes.
think,
And it's like draining our energy. We have no energy right now.
right. Have y'all tried any supplements? Well, you said you don't like supplements.
No,
No.
I do
Oh no,
something.
she does.
But
She
what they
she
do to the supplements is makes it almost impossible, is what she's
yeah. Well, you got to go somewhere,
right.
you know. But
I,
we
I,
take a lot. We take a lot of supplements.
Oh, okay.
The only prescription I take is for my heart. It's
Right.
I stopped taking any of the other stuff.
Right. Because it's basically poison.
Yeah, exactly.
Could you share some of the supplements y'all take, or would you rather not because you think they'll mess with them?
that would be me.
That would be Laura because she's the one that does all that kind of research.
Yeah, I would like to.
You know, some people don't like sharing that stuff because they think, well, you know. Well, thank you, Bob, for getting on here and talking and telling us what's going on. We very much appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you.
No problem.
The supplements. You want brain supplements. You want ATP. You want NADH. You want that lion's mane. You want cordyceps.
Yep,
You
that we
want,
take cordyceps.
yes, the mushrooms are huge, believe it or not. You can grow them yourselves. You put charcoal in the dirt to get the nano out. If you put
Wow.
charcoal in your dirt, just a piece of charcoal, will adhere to the nano. Because you do have to worry about that now. Since for me, I noticed it in 2020. My suspect is that it probably started. I mean, in 2022, my suspicion is that it probably started in 2020 with everything else with the supplements because I got a lot of relief. I felt almost completely healed. And then 2020 hit and it was kind of all downhill from there. But if you follow the agendas, the world agendas that they're coming up with, like, you know, these
Also, the MTA oil, or MTC oil, is that it? The coconut oil?
coconut oil, yes, it's very
Yeah.
good. Castor oil. It freezes the crap to your skin, and then you can pick out the little white and graphene oxide pieces.
Wow.
What I got it out with, I got the wires out with. I can show you wires I got out of my body. Hold on a minute. I got them
We
wrapped
believe
around
you. We know a couple more Gallons survivors.
that have pulled wires that were red.
Yeah, and they had pictures of it too. So we believe you 100%.
Okay, well, for me, I put the betadine and I let it get sticky. And then what I did was I would do this. And then I did it on my wrist and I would just pull. And it looked like I was pulling. It was so fine. It looked like it was tiny little spider webs.
Yep.
But now that I got them wrapped around a toothpick, it looks like because it adheres right back to your body. I mean, it's magnetic. You know, a
Right.
lot of this is the EMF fields, and if you don't get them on something else, they're just gonna go right back into you. I've been getting a lot of black stuff out of my eyes, but they have said that this is in the glasses and the dental work. I mean, like it's everywhere.
Right.
Um, Other supplements that have helped me, time is really good. Your monitors, your Wi-Fi monitors, fill your house up with mold and yeast. We've bought in a UV ray cleaner for that kind of stuff. Um,
And see,
let's see
that
what
may be
else.
why my vibrations and my shocks to my brain have lessened tremendously. You can ask Holly. I used to sit on the floor begging for it to stop. And ever since me and her's been taking that lion's mane, cordyceps, reishi, um, I mean, this is I mean, they're
Shiitake,
expensive. If you want the good stuff, I mean, you have to splurge and get it, but it's worth it. And that's what's
right.
crazy. A lot of real TIs, half their money goes on supplements.
I've been that way for since 20, what, 2012. Um, boron. Boron is it's a mineral. Um, it helps dismantle, these 5G towers are making the
Yeah.
nano self-assemble. So the boron really helps. You want a mineral supplement with that in there. Also, it depends on some people. I have A negative blood. That's what made me such a target for the adrenochrome. If you look up adrenochrome, A negative is the highest price because it's the rarest blood.
Wow.
So, depending on, some of it's iron. If your blood runs on iron, I'm personally allergic to metals. I've been allergic to metals and mold. My mom became allergic to metals as soon as she got pregnant with me. As a matter of fact, when my ex signed over his rights to my husband, what I had said to his mother was, I know you've put mold and metal in me trying to kill me. And it shocked her that I knew that way back then. And the next day he was calling ready to sign over his rights. Like he just didn't want to bother me anymore. And he did weird things. Like he never bought any formula. He didn't buy any clothes. We had to send our clothes over to him. And I would try to tell my mom, he's just putting the crap in the clothes. I mean, I've seen him put stuff in our socks, on our toothbrushes. Those were things I personally witnessed firsthand. Um, so those kind of things. The Epsom salt, borax, uh, sea salt, and baking soda baths. I like oils. Frankincense dismantles it. Helichrysum dismantles it. Now, I have done it too fast here recently. I felt myself pull a wire out of my heart and it about freaked me out because it felt like a needle going in and out of my heart when I was pulling that wire. So, some of it I realize I have to be very, very careful with at this point, and you have to do it slowly.
Right.
But
Well,
I guess,
unfortunately, we got about 3 more minutes.
okay. Well,
But I really
that's
appreciate y'all coming out, and especially the advice on the because you just verified why with the cordyceps and the lion's mane why some of my stuff has gotten a little bit less tense. Now I get 24 hours V2K. Like right now, they're telling me, David, your interview sucks, and they got operators. I can hear my ex's voice sometimes, my sister's voice sometimes. So, but I've learned to ignore it. I've been dealing with it since 2015. I know it's not. I know it's V2K handlers. You know what I'm saying? I know it's not mental. You know.
I think they tried that in the beginning. And like, I don't know, there was one time I went to court with my ex, and then afterwards, I was over there knocking on his door. I put the most prettiest dress on I could put on, and I knew. And I was like, what made me do that? And I think that was the love bomb. How
Right.
they hit you with that love bomb, because I mean, I was already away from him for over a year and it just didn't make sense.
Right.
But I wasn't on the supplements then, so they could have more mind control over me.
Right.
Whereas now, my son got Eagle through Scouts, and I was gonna have him an Eagle party, and he's like, "Well, I don't want it unless he can come," and I'm not going around my ex. I have
Right.
no
That's
kind of
awesome. Eagle Scouts, awesome. That's the highest you can go, ain't
yes,
it?
yes, it is.
Yeah.
Well, what's so sad is 11 years I went through my kid with Scouts. It's how I met my husband. I met my husband working Derby. He was in charge of working Derby, and I was disabled and couldn't afford for my kids to go unless I did work, which was very hard on me every time because they were 12, 14-hour days, and we were selling beer and on our feet all day. But our daughter was born on May 2nd, so sometimes her birthday falls on Derby. My dad's favorite holiday was Derby. So it kind of lets me know God had his hand involved, even though I know he don't like gambling or the horses.
Right. Right. And then you're up near the Appalachians and stuff in Kentucky. I know you could probably get some really good tinctures. Get your hands on some really good tinctures if you tried, huh? From some of them mountain folks.
I never thought of that, but yeah.
Yeah, they're really big on them tinctures up there.
Well, I do make my own too. I
Right.
use alcohol or vinegar, honey, or olive oil. Olive oil is how I extract the oils from the, if I'm foraging plants. And I grow a lot of my own herbs, my thyme, my oregano.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Oregano is really good for
That's
a lot.
awesome. Have you ever heard of the Foxfire books?
No,
They're old books that my grandparents had them. I wish I'd have had them. I used to read them when I was little, and they would tell you how to make tinctures. It was from the Appalachians. It was called the Foxfire books. And anyway, it would tell you how to make tinctures and stuff. It was from the people of the Appalachians. I think that's awesome. You make your own tinctures.
another thing that is huge is cilantro. The only thing I will say with cilantro is you have to be careful of not taking too much and becoming anemic because it does get the metals out of your system. So that
Wow.
includes iron.
Well, thanks for
So
sharing this stuff because that's very important for TIs to realize because I know something's different since I started taking all these supplements.
and the ionic foot detoxes, I don't put I was gonna start a business back in 2022. I feel like that's another reason why I got targeted. I had bought myself th- four $1,500 machines from Germany, but you can get on Amazon and get a machine for about $100.
But it's
And
not going to do the same thing as the 1500, right?
it feels like it does. I don't know. Jeff Bezos kind of irks me a little bit, but he's involved in some things I don't like or that I've heard.
Right.
But yeah, they do still work. It still pulls. I mean, I've got pictures of hookworms with teeth. I mean, but I've got 10 years worth of pictures. I mean,
Wow.
I started detoxing in March of 2014.
Well,
And
maybe we could do a interview one day and you could show some of your pictures if you wouldn't mind.
okay, I'd have to go through because the one I found was the one with the hookworm was in 2021. So I'd have to go back 3 years in my gallery and stuff if they haven't removed it. Because,
Mm.
you know, I've had emails disappear. I've had, all that
Yeah,
kind of emails sent out that I never sent, and then I tell the person, I don't recall sending that. Oh, you're a liar. I
right.
mean, that's recently happened to me, which is really annoying. That's just them turning more people against you. You try and tell the people that they're being turned against you. You've done nothing to them, and it just gets worse because they're, oh no, I wouldn't be that way. They think they have their own mind. That's the bad thing about the biodigital convergence is a lot of people don't know what thoughts are theirs and what thoughts aren't, and you have to
Right.
learn how to test the spirit, like the Bible says.
Yep. Well, I
So.
thank y'all for coming out, and I'm going to stop the recording right now, and we can say our